So let me just set up what I'm going to do in this video. What we're going to do is I went through every single quarterback who has enough snaps to qualify, which is 20% of their team's snaps, and looked at their passer rating when they're blitzed versus when they're not blitzed, and looked at the difference. And then I ranked each quarterback from who improves the most when they're blitzed versus not blitzed to who improves the least when they're blitzed versus not blitzed. And I think there's some interesting stuff in here. So yeah, let's just get into it. So first, we're going to start off on one end of the spectrum and ultimately work our way over to the other end of the spectrum. These are the quarterbacks that are much better when they are blitzed versus not blitzed. And I think an important thing to note is I'm just doing passer rating. You could certainly sit here and say, well, is it really fair to say the quarterbacks themselves are better when they're blitzed versus not blitzed? And that answer is no, because sometimes this does fluctuate year in and year out, but usually on a game-to-game basis, it actually stays relatively similar. So it's definitely team-related to some degree as well. That has to be factored in. But yeah, these first 8 quarterbacks, these are the guys that I'm going to kind of categorize as the players you really shouldn't blitz. Or if you do blitz, you want to be very careful when you do it. Because you see the 3 numbers are their passer rating when they're blitzed, their passer rating when they're not, and then the differential. So for Darnold, he has the biggest differential blitzed versus not blitzed of a passer rating of 139 against the blitz. Still a good 92.2 when he's not blitzed, but it's still a 47-point differential. So him, you have to wonder how much that is Justin Jefferson. Same thing with Joe Burrow. You have to wonder how much that is Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Baker Mayfield, interesting with him, is obviously the fact that there is, no more Mike Evans, or at least for a bit, and Godwin's probably done for the season. So that's a big difference now, but I do wonder if maybe you're playing him. Do you still consider blitzing now because they don't have those weapons? Herbert's a bit of an interesting one. I'm not sure if I would have fully expected that because it feels like the Chargers' kind of whole game plan is to try and kind of, run a methodical offense, but he actually does his best when things are maybe a bit chaotic so far. At least the Chargers offense does its best. And maybe, it kind of goes the other way of when their receivers sometimes struggle to get open. Is it just like it makes it easier this way so they're not getting shut down? I don't know. Jaden Daniels totally makes sense as well. He's actually done a great job at running against the blitz, but also looking to throw when he runs. It is worth mentioning these stats are not taking into account sacks and they are not taking into account rushes. So that's just an important thing to note. There's not really a way to isolate that I have access to, unfortunately. But yeah, Dak Prescott done very well against the blitz. Again, CeeDee Lamb. Josh Allen does a very good job of rushing when he's blitzed and making things happen, especially this season. And same thing with Geno Smith. Very good being able to use his legs to make things happen and then throw down the field. And he has DK Metcalf, who you don't want to leave one-on-one. So these are the guys where it's like, I'm not going to say never blitz under any circumstances, but like, unless, I would basically say for these guys, maybe you want to cool it on the blitzing a little bit. You don't have to blitz too much. It is interesting that the Vikings love to blitz so much, and Sam Darnold is great against the blitz. Maybe he just has a lot of practice when they're practicing because of going up against Brian Flores every day. I don't know. The next section I'm calling I'm going to kind of categorize this section as the guys that you can blitz. If you are a team that likes to blitz, you should still blitz, but maybe cool it a little bit. Maybe whatever your usual number is, if you're a team that blitzes 30% of the time, maybe do it 20% of the time in this game kind of thing. Malik Willis, Jared Goff, Gardner Minshew, who it's more so he struggles when it's not. There's a couple of these guys really just struggle when there's not a blitz. Him and Daniel Jones just kind of have rough passer ratings against the non-blitz. Fields has done better against the blitz. Mahomes done a little better against the blitz, although not as much, right? In previous years, it had been like when you blitz Mahomes, he just like has like a perfect passer rating. Not quite that this way. CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, and Matthew Stafford all a little bit better against the blitz, but nothing too notable right here. Also, we have a few quarterbacks that I'm just putting in the category of like, there isn't a big enough swing either way, so just do whatever you're good at. If you're a team that likes to blitz a lot. If you're a team that doesn't like to blitz, don't blitz a lot. Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, and Drake May are in that category. This next section, we have a bit of names to go over. It's going to be in the negatives now because that's just, again, how I structured the data right here. But these are the quarterbacks that are kind of the opposite way of quarterbacks that if you like to blitz a lot, you should maybe blitz a little bit more. in this game. These are quarterbacks that do get worse when you blitz them, but also don't go crazy. It's not like you can just go full out blitz because it's not like a massive jump. So Bo Nix a little bit worse. You have Bryce Young a little bit worse, although not great in either category. Kirk Cousins a little bit worse. Makes sense. Someone who has not giving you a lot of mobility with Cousins, so that checks out. Lamar Jackson is better when he is not blitzed versus blitzed, although it's not a massive jump. And he is someone who's kind of always been that way, where his game gets a little bit worse when he's blitzed, just because you're kind of forcing him to have to throw the ball earlier. He's most dangerous when he has the ball in his hands. But again, he's so good in both categories. It's you're picking your poison a little bit there. Jalen Hurts, again, it's interesting because I wonder if that's going to flip given A.J. Brown being banged up. Usually, if you blitz him, he just throws it to A.J. Brown to get a big touchdown. So you have to wonder if A.J. Brown being injured has something to do with that. But, Spencer Rattler, Brock Purdy, Deshaun Watson, Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, and Joe Flacco, all guys. Some of those guys have a bit of a decent swing. So those are the guys that you want to maybe apply some pressure towards. And I think Purdy's probably the most interesting player in that category to talk about because of the 49ers situation of, again, usually if you blitz them, they're just throwing it up to Brandon Ayuk. He's out for the season, so you don't have that anymore. Kittle can still make plays, but at the end of the day, you get them out of their offense of running all these play actions and stuff if you're blitzing, and I think that's kind of what we've seen teams do and have some success when they've done it, and why Purdy's numbers, again, still nearly an 100 passer rating when he's not blitzed, but 80 when he is blitzed. That's a big jump. And finally, these 5 players, these are the players of over a 30-point jump, including one over a 70-point jump in blitzed versus not blitzed. These are the guys that the category is you should be blitzing the hell out of them. I don't care if this isn't what you do. You should be doing a lot of blitzing. Obviously, you can't just run one coverage all game. Teams will catch on and know how to adjust. But your strategy going into these games should be let's apply pressure consistently. One of these quarterbacks is currently banged up, but should come back into the game for the Saints a little bit later. First, Kyler Murray, which is, again, surprising, I think, that you kind of view him as someone who's deadly against the blitz, but not this season. He's been much better when he can kind of sit back and, maybe make something happen, can scramble easier when there's less eyes on him, and you can make the throw, doesn't have to just throw down the field. That's an interesting one, not one I would have suspected. Will Levis has always struggled against the blitz. He struggled with that last year, and this year I think teams have kind of caught up to, if you just apply pressure, not a lot he can do. Just an okay passer rating of 80.6 when he is, when he's not blitzed. That's nothing otherworldly, but it's all right. But just horrible when he is blitzed. So if you're playing the Titans and Will Levis is out there, that's what you should do. Derek Carr is interesting. Derek Carr has a massive jump from being, and again, 73.4. Okay, it's not a good passer rating when he's blitzed. It's not the worst in the world. But again, compared to 117.1, I mean, that's a huge jump. So he's someone that, really good when he is not getting blitzed, but goes down a lot when you blitz him. Part of that might just be force all these offensive linemen to have one-on-one matchups. Doesn't always go so well. Jordan Love, another shocking one where it's basically Derek Carr, but even more so. He's about just as good as Carr when he's not getting blitzed. But if you blitz him, I mean, I think part of it is he makes mistakes and he's willing to take chances, and you get pressure on him, he's still going to fire the ball down the field, and it's not always going to work out. A 50-point difference when he is blitzed versus not blitzed. 115 passer rating when he is not blitzed. That is insanely good. 64.9, that is very rough. I mean, even Carr's at 73 isn't very good. This is 10 points lower than that. I mean, that's a huge jump right there. So, again, if you're playing the Packers, you blitz Jordan Love, force him to beat you. And then maybe the most shocking number of this entire video that we will end with, Anthony Richardson. A 77.9 passer rating when he's not blitzed. Okay, not great, but young player, right? You can work with that. A 4.9 passer rating when he is blitzed. That is not a typo. That is actually the number. He has a 4.9 passer rating when he is blitzed. That's, I think, 15 points lower than if you just throw the ball into the dirt every single play. I think it's like a 23 passer rating of if every play is an incompletion, because he's also turning the ball over when he is blitzed. I mean, at this point, it's, you should blitz every play for Richardson. I mean, with these kind of numbers, that's a 73-point jump. It is a bit of a small sample size because he has missed some time. It's on 35 plays, so Maybe it's just that, but I mean, just looking at that, it's enough of a sample size. You should go into a Colts game ready to blitz. That's what I think. But yeah, some interesting numbers here. So always like making some videos like this. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on some of these numbers in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.